It's really scary.
Students who live in the same dorm as Tyler Clementi can't believe he may have known he was being recorded. The Rutgers University freshman took his own life after cops say he was recorded by a webcam in his room during a sexual encounter. Now, Gawker.com is reporting Tyler complained about a spying roommate on a message board for gay men, saying, "The fact that the people he was with saw my making out with a guy as the scandal, whereas, I mean, come on, he was spying on me. Do they see nothing wrong with this?"
Let me tell you, anti-gay discrimination and even hatred is a problem on campuses nationwide.
Stephen Goldstein of Garden State Equality says the coming out process begins in college, but says this incident sends a message to college kids that they'll be harassed if they come out.
He was robbed of the process to come out on his own terms. His dignity was robbed, and then his life was robbed.
Today, Governor Chris Christie got emotional when asked about this case.
I can't imagine what those parents are feeling today. I can't.
Cyber expert Perry Aftab says spying using technology as a weapon is a horrible form of cyber harassment. She says civil rights claims should be brought against the two suspects, Tyler's roommate Darun Ravi and Molly Wee, and she says people's attitudes need to be changed.
We need to make sure that it is unacceptable to do this, so that if someone says, hey, I'm going to take a picture of this guy in the room, no one's going to say, I'm going to watch it.
Aftab tells us a new program formed in Tyler's name is being kicked off at college campuses. It's called Step Up, Speak Out, and it's to get students to condemn cyber harassment. At Rutgers University, Christine Persichetti, My 9 News.
Joining us to take on the issue of cyberbullying, our school psychologist Andrew Yeager and legal analyst Gwendolyn Jackson. Mr. Yeager, you developed a highly regarded film about the dangers of cyberbullying. What are kids thinking? What goes through their minds when they engage in cyberbullying?
Well, I think that's exactly the point. In many ways, they're not thinking. One of the reasons why we did this program is because we had to help kids understand what the consequences of their actions are. Now, that's not an easy thing to do because, based on what's happening with the adolescent brain, kids have a lot of difficulty really seeing what the implications of their actions are.
Yeah, there really does seem to be this emotional disconnect with the victims because of the sort of anonymity that exists in cyberbullying, doesn't it?
That's correct. It's not only the anonymity, but you combine the anonymity that the internet provides plus the tendency for adolescents to do very impulsive things. It's a terrible combination, and what that does is that leads to the tendency to do things that you wouldn't ordinarily do or say things that you wouldn't ordinarily say without really any good sense of what the implications of those actions are.
Ms. Jackson, let's be a little more specific. The kids in the Rutgers case, can they be charged with something more than invasion of privacy?
You know, Brenda, I think that's an excellent question, and I think that they can be charged. And I don't understand this hesitancy of charging them with these very low crimes. Invasion of privacy is a 4th degree felony offense, and if convicted, they stand very little chance of facing any jail time at all. They will most likely get pretrial intervention, one bite at the apple, and the charge will be dismissed, and they will go on with their lives. I think that this might warrant a felony murder charge, if you think about it. I mean, here you have a gay outing that was not just a simple, letting people know that this person was gay without their consent. You had a horrendous situation where this child, this 18-year-old young man, thought he had the privacy of his room, and they had surreptitiously taped him. I mean, for goodness sakes, it's inconceivable that, the prosecutor would just try to give these kids a slap on the wrist.
Well, Mr. Yeager, isn't part of the problem that adults don't know how to deal with this kind of digital, we're talking generation gap here.
A big generation gap, and, in many ways we have all of the adults, that's parents, educators, law enforcement professionals. I mean, we're scurrying to try to just keep up with what the next phase or the next trend is. So that is true. It really is challenging both us in terms of education, in terms of the legislature, in terms of the judicial system, and for kids themselves to really get a sense of what's going on when there's really no time to consider what the implications are because things are happening so quickly.
Ms. Jackson, does cyberspace give bullies more power than they've ever had?
Absolutely, and I think that New Jersey ought to look at strengthening these invasion of privacy laws. I happen to think that if they commit a crime of this nature and there's any chance of a serious bodily injury or death, then it shouldn't be a 4th degree offense. At the very least, it should be a 2nd degree offense.
Andrew Yeager, Gwendolyn Jackson, thanks for joining us.